bucket opener. I call it that because when I worked at a restaurant, this is the same tool you used to open up pickle buckets. And you decide what. You just lift all the buckets have little tabs around the outside. So you just lift it up until it comes off. This is a big drill. It's kind of scary, but just put it in the liquid. Mix it until the layer of water on top isn't like you can't see it anymore. It's like all the same consistency. Oops. Then it always goes back to this water bucket to clean it off, to rinse off all the glaze that we just mixed up. Easy peasy. Normally, these should be up there and they should be clean, but they're not. So I'm going to clean this too. For most of the pieces, you're just gonna like put one single color on, right? Or if you're gonna do one color and then paint another color on top. Remember, how many times can you dunk something? Once. You can dunk it again like a half time. How many brush layers should you put on? 2 to 3. 2 to 3 coats if you're gonna brush something on. Okay? And if you're gonna spray, I'm not gonna do a demo how to spray, so you're not gonna do that. So I'm just going to put some glaze in the little cup. I'm going to pour it into my cup or your vessel or whatever you made. Pour it out kind of slowly. And this one, I'm going to dunk the whole thing. I'm going to set it on the side of the table, and it should dry within like a minute, really quickly. Most of the glazes are totally fine to get on your hands. There's only a few that you shouldn't like dunk your hands in and like wash your hands in the glaze, right? You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't eat any of the glazes because like these are chemicals. That would not be a smart decision to do. If you use a tool, please make sure you wash it. So because I used it, I'm gonna wash it. I'll put it away right here. Look at that. Okay, this piece is almost done. Now, what's one thing you remember from the notes? Can you glaze the whole thing?
No.
Why?
Because then it'll stick to the shelf.
It'll stick to the shelf that it's on. Glaze, when it's 2100 degrees, becomes very sticky. Right? If you think of like melted glass or like melted sugar, it's like the same type of thing. It just becomes like sticky and it'll like stick to everything and anything. So, you cannot let it do that. So what I suggest is you get a sponge ready. I like the big ones because they hold the most water and they have the most surface area. Kind of wring half of it out. Set on a counter. Then what you can do is just rub the bottom of your piece to get most of it off. Just like that. There should be like just like a 1/4 of an inch is all you need off. Like an 1/8 of an inch, I should say. Right, just a little bit. Cool, huh? Wow. All right, so there's some brushes over here. Okay? Big cool brushes. There's also in this cabinet red iron oxide wash and cobalt wash. I would say cobalt oxide wash, but cobalt oxide. Cobalt will turn what color? Blue. Red iron oxide turns red-brown. If we use, it's not out here, but if we used chrome oxide, which is a heavy metal, which is why it's not out here, because heavy metals leach into your skin and they can make you sick, chrome would turn green. But also chrome is a heavy metal that can leach into your pot if you don't know what you're doing. So cobalt and red iron oxide are both natural metals. Cobalt you can find in like foods and stuff, as you can with most heavy metals, but it's like more available. And red iron oxide is actually like the type of like iron that's in your blood. Cool. Alright. So I'm gonna do 3 little demos on this thing. This is called a nose sucker for like little babies, you know. And inside this container, it says slip trailing tools, are a bunch of nose suckers and other things that you can use to like trail glaze with. So I'm gonna do some I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna use this black glaze on top of the white glaze because that'll be like different, right? You should always put like a light glaze over a dark glaze unless you're experimenting. Okay, there we go. No sucker. Put it in. Suck up some glaze, and then you can like draw with it. Figure it out. Ooh, wow, isn't that nice? So that should stay exactly there. Kind of interesting to look at. What should you do with this tool after you use it? Put it back? Just like that? No, you should not do that. You should wash it. And now I'm going to put it in the sink, but I will wash it. You could take a brush over the white glaze, and you could do another design. Isn't that nice? Wow. It'll look nice. So where the glaze is thick and to where it's thin, should have some sort of variation in it, right? The last thing I'm going to show you guys is the washes. Give them a swirl when the cap is closed because they're settled, right? It's just like this metal and water, so it settles fairly quickly. You can use whatever brush you want, and you can paint it on however you want. You could paint a pretty picture. I'm just going to kind of stick with my design here. And where those lines are, will turn blue. Gosh, isn't that fun? Totally, right? Gosh, I love glazing, Mr. Dallas. I know, it is fun. Okay, so I'm gonna fire this cup, and you get to see the demo. It'll be cool on the video to see like the comparison. I'll put it in the lesson so you guys can see. Okay. Most of these glazes work well together. I haven't found ones that work really bad together. If you think the glaze is too thick, come find me. It should be like a watery milkshake. Okay. One of the tests that a lot of potters do is they'll put it in the glaze, and if they can't see the crease of their fingers, it's too thick. But if they can see the creases, like the cracks of their knuckles, it's too thin. Okay? If it's too thin, it's hard for me to fix. If it's too thick, we just add water. So this glaze is actually just like a bit too thick, which I knew going into it. That glaze is kind of like. Any questions on glazing? You can use whatever colors you want. Please don't layer them up too heavy because then they will drip if things get like, if you put too much on, gravity takes a hold and it pulls them off the pot.